Okay, I should be recording. All right, so I'm gonna show the implementation of my entire project. Gonna show how everything works, including my menu that I created. So looking at the rubric, I'm only sharing my IDE, but I'm gonna look at the rubric and go through each thing. Okay, I'm gonna show each class. So my course class passes all the tests, of course. So yeah, I use override compare these two. Basically following the instructions. Uh should go to person next. Person is also just following the instructions. Nothing too special here as well. Student. Okay, for the ID, same thing with employee ID. This is how I calculated each time that there's a new student created, this increases. This num students starts at zero because there's none, of course, and then it enumerates. Is that the correct word? It increases by one each time you create a new student object, and the student ID is adjusted according to that. So yeah, that works. The same thing I did for the employee ID. I just left some random comments for myself when it wasn't done, but like, yeah. For some reason, this works. This passes the test. So, yeah, the compared to the two string, all of it is working. So, yeah, all my methods, all my classes passed. Same thing over here. ID is calculated the same way. Okay, I should also explain this in the student one. So, to add a course, we make sure that it's not exceeding the set length of the courses taken array to add a course. Like we don't want to go past the limit. So we're assuming that the value of num courses taken is like, of course, gonna be the last index that's empty. So we just assign the input course to the array at that index, and then increase the amount of courses. And then for add courses taken with the array of courses, we just iterate and call add course taken. And for get course taken, just make sure it's not null, turn it at that index. And for get course taken as string, use get course taken as a helper method. and return it as specified. And this, we just iterate using toString. So, and if to add a comma between, if it's not like the last value, essentially, there's not the last value in the array. Assuming num courses taken would be like the size, like the length of the values. We just add a comma in between. Same logic goes for faculty. You use each method as a helper method and so on, and return that string. And the comparisons, all that. I'll show general staff. General staff is very straightforward. I think that should be all the methods. Yep, I already finished all that. So now I'm just gonna show how my driver works. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to pause my screen sharing. I was trying to move the menu. Okay, so is this a graduate course? We could put false. Just like type in anything. I'm gonna do this very fast. So as specified by the rubric, my driver is going to be adding courses and accessing different values and so on. So as you can see, the courses were created. It will always show you what was updated, what was changed. Um, I'm just gonna make up people. We use like fictional characters too. I'm just speeding through this. It doesn't have to make sense. Phone too. Um, CMP, the best. False. But as you can see, create our faculty based on those values. That is our faculty. Um, I'm just making up random people. Sure, they could be that old. History, why not? Teaching history. Staff member. Oh, and I figure I should also be showing the code, the logic. So yeah, I use a for loop to keep prompting to save space and time. And then I'm using an array list to keep track of all the courses and all the faculties, so on. Yeah, and also for the print each string of each object in the most like simple way found online to just put the array list name variable or each system out println. This also works for later on, like outputting to a file. Like you could use writer as well. Something I figured out on my own, just following the same logic there. So right now we're at creating general staff. Same logic with a for loop. This is just to make sure the scanner next line is to make sure like nothing weird happens because we're using scanner next line. Want to like eat the extra white new lines that were created while we're inputting because when every time we press enter, it creates a new line, and you don't want to have any issues and like have blank names and so on. Uh, I don't know why. I feel like I keep adding stuff with apples, but it doesn't matter. And again, we create all of these. Okay, now we're going to create a student. All these basically follow the same logic. This is creating the student right here. And we're using our temporary variables to add the information into the new object. I'm going to try and make this faster. Very fast. It's, I know some of the things I'm putting are random, but just want to show like a quick example. What's going on? Okay, adding new courses to faculty object. So this is where we are. So I want to just displaying it to make it easier to know which faculty object is which at each index and adding it to the faculties and adding it to all the courses that we already have. So, sorry, I'll continue. In for credits, um, let's give it to phone two. And as the rubric says, I'll add it to the same object, but I could also add it to a different one. So I'll just add the two courses to phone two. I'm sure he'll like these courses. Um, wait, is there audio? There's audio, right? Yeah, never mind. Okay. Because I'll cry if there's no audio. Okay, anyway. Credits. Oh, so yeah, this looks like the updated faculty from earlier. All of these have the same functionality, essentially. Who did I give it to? Okay. So yeah, these are all the new courses that were added. These are the updated values for students, just like these are the updated values for the faculty. And we're going to be doing the same thing with the array. As you can see, the array was added. And the new courses were also added here. And Fairy Dust has their new courses, and all the new courses that were added were updated here into the course array. So we could access them later, do comparisons, and so on. Um, enter faculty object to get course. Okay. So this is get faculty object at index. So let's do Andrew Fish. So invalid index will just say try again. Enter index of course. So let's say we want to get Andrew Fish. His first course taught is CMP 101, so we want that. And we got that. Okay. And the same thing goes for this. Very smart kid. His second course is History 190. And there we go. Select the faculty object one. Okay. So determine if a course is taught by faculty object. I'm gonna scroll and show the code using add course taken for that. And initializing the array. And this starts as null. So you're doing a loop, but if this is null, we want to add to that. And if it's not null, we create the second course object and then add it to the array and so on. And I believe that is the same logic here. Yeah, and we're just printing. And to get it at index, this is just to make sure there's no like error. So if the number of courses taken is 0, we're just gonna say no courses being taken. So we don't get trapped at an invalid index, try again, endless repeating sort of thing. And yeah, faculties that get index, get course at the course index. So the index and the course index are separate. We want to access the faculty or whatever object and then access the course within it. Same logic for student. Now we're at determine if it's taught. So what I figured is that we want to see if the course if you put it as a string, if it contains it with within its all courses taught as a string, because all courses taught as a string is just every single dot to string of each course. So it should contain that if the faculty is teaching it. It's my logic. So, well, oh, oh yeah, we're gonna be choosing which course to see. So Andrew Fish is teaching CMP 101, and CMP 101 is 11. I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. Okay, that should be 6. No, I'm tired. 8. This is just the other stuff from the second part. Yeah, so that is the eighth one. If I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, faculty teaches course. And the faculty that teaches the most is Andrew Fish. 2 courses. The faculty that teaches the least, 0 classes taught. Minimum course of all course objects is this one based on the compare to. Um, this is the logic. So we initialize most taught and least taught with the first index, iterate through, and check if it's greater than the initialized value or less than the initialized value, and update accordingly. And we're just printing. And we use collections.min, the simple solution, to find the minimum and the maximum. And this is basically the same logic, except as like it's the same logic as this one to find the student with the least credits is, of course, 0 credits, 0 classes taken. And the student with the most credits, of course, 10 and 5 credits. That's 15 credits, 2 courses. So that's about everything. Um, yeah, I'm just like making an array of each student credits because we have 3 student classes and just adding and iterating through each course to be student, and accessing the num credits and adding that on to that integer array, and then initializing it the same way as this previous one. Same logic here, and printing it. And now I cleared the arrays just for the database part to work with the file. So I didn't hard code my values. I just like cleaned up, like removed the um part that just says like course and colon and student and colon. Like this right here, I removed this by using substring and removing the colon and then stripping any extra white space and splitting the commas, turn it into an array. And yeah, there could be edge cases, but this is all under the assumption that input from file has no wrong inputs. So This is all just like using the line content. So if it starts with course, we're gonna use each split part and assign it to each like parameter in the constructor. So if the length is zero for like from say for example, this will explain the logic for all of these. So each constructor has like a different amount of parameters. So this for us is like the length of the content in the string, like the input string. So, well, for me it is. So if it's equal, the length is zero, that means we just do the default like this with no parameters. If the length is one, we need a there's a Boolean value, and we just put the Boolean value, and create a new faculty with the Boolean value that we get from the content by using Boolean dot value of from the string, and so on. So if the length is two, then we should expect a string and then a Boolean. So we use the string, so just S1, like a string one variable equals the first part from the split, and then the Boolean, again, Boolean dot value of the second part. Um, but that explains like all the logic behind all of this. I just use strip to erase the white space, and I'm adding it to the array list, of course. So this prints it to the console. Again, using the thing I already mentioned with the system out. And yeah, I did clear this earlier. So this was just added from the program. So it functions, it works. And I did get all the points on Cybooks. I believe that covers everything. I'm sorry if this video was too long. It's just a lot of code. Yeah, integer value of, yep. You see the first part from this split content. We would expect that to be a Boolean. So based on the constructor and so on for each thing. And I also included for person, I didn't hard code anything. Yep, that's it. That is it.